How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews back with a little bit of Dancing Gnome up in his piece in the form of their Warm Hand Splash. This is an 8% alcohol by volume American Ale. I did not look this up. I'm assuming it's a hazy, but it just says American Ale. So we're just going to have to wait until we crack in this sucker. This comes courtesy of my boy Dan from Pittsburgh. He sent me off a box of beers. Most of it was kind of aged, older beers, and it is a hazy. Of various Pittsburgh wares. This was the lone, freshie, at least uber freshie. There was a couple, New School Brewery cans in there. And I'm really curious, because it's been a minute since I've done a Dancing Gnome beer. Whenever I talk about Dancing Gnome, more often than not, it's because I talk about the overuse of carbonic acid in hazies, and I usually say, foam and Dancing Gnome cans are typically that kind of brewery that goes heavy-handed on that. So I'm curious to see if anything has changed, because it's been a bit. This is just a bit over a week old. Label-wise, I actually really dig the label. And as far as the beer goes, it looks all the part of an 8% big old hazy, rich orange core, a little bit of cataracty edges, pinky finger, almost khaki-colored head. Yeah. Let's see if we get a nose. Underripened mango peach. That's the big takeaway from this on the nose. And I kind of dig that, because I'm not defaultly leaning into a big citrus thing. There's always going to be some form of citrus in a lot of these hazies, but this one really does lean at not even just tropical fruit mango, and then a little bit of kind of peachiness in there, which I really kind of dig. I don't think it's going to be overly bittering. I don't think it's going to be overly sweet. We're going to find out in the taste, but from what's coming from the nose, which isn't gigantic, probably less than what you'd expect from an 8% beer, I kind of dig it. Let's dive in. Cheers. I kind of like that. You still have those tinges of that carbonic thing. It's not as big as I remember, but it's there. Almost like when someone someone always puts way too much pepper in everything he cooks, this guy. Or, person uses too much garlic, person that wears too much makeup, person that wears too much cologne, doesn't really matter. Those people don't really know they're doing that. But once they become self-aware of the overuse of whatever the hell they're doing, even when they kind of pull it back, wheel it back a little bit, they're still a little bit heavy-handed with it, because it's hard to give that up, something you become comfortable with habit-wise in your life. That's the way this kind of tastes to me, because I am getting those rich kind of mango kind of peachy vibes in there. Sure, the citrus kind of a little bit bigger than what the nose would lead you to believe, but the mouthfeel is fantastic. There is a bittering in this, and while there is a little bit of grainy vibes to it, it is a bulk of that carbonic acid, but not nearly as big as I remember it being in their beers. Now, it could be because this is an 8% beer. Bigger beer, it's going to be a little bit bolder. It's not going to show up as much. But I feel like it's still tempering the volume on some of these flavors in the beer. So, a perfect world. I'm not a brewer, but a perfect world. I made this beer. I'd dial it back just a little bit more. I don't want to get rid of it completely, but just let this beer shine and show all its beautiful bits and pieces, because they're there. I mean, whenever I get into a beer and really lean heavily into like a tropical fruit mango thing with that peach, you're kind of singing my songs there. Not that I don't love those big citrus forward beers, but especially when I get into the higher ABV ones, I really do dig that combination of that tropical fruit and stone fruit. And you're definitely getting it in here. And it's very tasty. Probably the best hazy I've ever had from Dancing Gnome, let's put it that way. Very tasty stuff. Very good beer. Still a little carbonic thing, but again, I'm uber sensitive to that, so maybe it's more me than the beer itself. So take that for what it's worth. But I really enjoy this. Thank you very much, Dan, for sending us off. Very fun, big old bold hazy. Let's talk about it. It's one of the better double IPAs I've had as of late. Yes. It wants to be towards the top. It's not going to be Mount Rushmore status because of that carbonic thing, but it's tasty nonetheless. Value and availability, no idea on this one. I'm not sure what Dancing Gnome goes for, so Pittsburghians and Dancing Gnome universe people, let us know what's what. And leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you like that, just that stone fruit tropical leaning big hazy. You're not all that sensitive to carbonic acid, you dig those combinations of those two things, I think this is some very, very tasty stuff. And definitely worth picking up. I've heard of this beer before, so I believe it's rotational. So even if you don't get it this time, excuse me, burps. Hopefully you'll be able to get it in the future. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massif. If you want to check me out doing the whole podcast thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of Dancing Gnome right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers.